All right, guys, in this video, we're going to really dive into the technique of getting your workers trained up. Stick around, we'll show you what it is. What's up, guys? My name's Aaron. We're here in our shop, Exterior Pro. And in this video, this is number 2 of a series that we're going to do on training guys. We're going to go into the meat and potatoes of how I train these guys. Now, just a quick background, where did I get this training? Well, when I was in high school and I started doing construction for some guys, and when I got out of high school, I was working for the same group of guys, and those guys would get slow late December through January, February, usually it was light on work. So I started to travel, and I would go to Spanish language schools, and I went to several different places over several different years in a row. I would travel all winter. I'd call them back late February, early March, see how the work was going. And I would come back and we'd work and then basically get laid off in December and do the same thing again. So after several years of that, I ended up in Colombia, South America. I was fluent in Spanish, and I decided to teach English. So I taught English from the time I was 23 to the time I was 25, and the techniques that I used and that I was taught as an English teacher in one of these nonprofit institutes where I worked is what I brought back to the United States, and I started using the same techniques with great success. So now I'm 40, so I've been doing this for 15 years, and I took those ideas and theories of teaching language, I took them and plugged them right into construction, and it's worked, and hopefully I can show you guys how it works for me, and it can start to work for you and your company and your situation. All right, guys, the first thing that I do when I go to train some guys or my guys, because we're always training, I'm always showing them how to do different things and hopefully always moving them forward. I do a rule called the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is a rule that if you're going to teach a second language, that I speak the language and you don't. Therefore, I should only do about 20% of the talking and you should do about 80% of the talking, because I already know how to do it and you don't. So you need the more practice than I do. So I take that and I apply it right to construction. So when I go to teach somebody, this is what it looks like. I say, guys, look, this is what we're going to do. And I'm going to show you. I bring the brains, I bring the process, you bring the hustle, you bring the muscle, but you're going to drive the process forward. I'm going to show you what I want, right? But you're going to drive this process forward, and you're going to drive it forward in the right amount of time, because remember, these are our in-house guys and we're watching their hours. So the 80-20 rule, don't think that if you're going to train, it means that you're just going to stand there and you're going to do it while those guys are watching. If I feel like they're just watching too much and they're not involved mentally, I tell them, I say, look, either I'm going to do this job or you're going to do this job, but we're both not going to do this job. And I know I'm good looking and I know you like to watch me work, but that ain't what's going to happen. So if I'm going to do the job, you're going home. And they go say, no, show me what I got to do. All right, and now they do the job. So the 80-20 rule, don't get caught in the trap of you standing there doing all the work and these guys just watching, and then they end up calling it a day and they don't learn nothing, and then you're fatigued and you're tired. So the 80-20 rule, we're going to start off with that one. All right, guys, so the next 3 things that I'm going to show you is just the basis of all training. So we're going to start off with a structured activity, then we're going to do a semi-structured activity, and then we're going to go to a unstructured activity, and then an evaluation. And I use those 4 things to show anybody pretty much anything that I want. So here's what that looks like in construction. A structured activity means I've got a new thing, or I've got a skill that they're going to do, a section of a job that they're going to do, a piece or part of a job they're going to do, and it's structured. So that means that I'm going to do one and they're going to watch me, right? Until okay, I'm going to do it. This is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. This is what it is. This is what it should look like when it's done. Now the semi-structured part of that, remember that was the structured part, me doing it. The semi-structured part of that is they're going to do it with me. We're going to do one of whatever it is that we're doing. We're going to do it together. I'm going to answer any questions. I'm going to show them any tricks that I got. I'm going to try to help them figure out a better way to do it. Hey, don't do that. Offer any correction, right? So we're going to do one together. So I'm going to do one on my own, structured, while they watch. Then we're going to do one together. That's semi-structured. Then I'm going to stand back and I'm going to watch them do it. That's unstructured. They're going to do it. Hey, I just showed you. I did the example. I showed you what I want. We did one together. I answered your questions. Now I'm going to stand back and you're going to do it. And they're going to take over the process. Remember, I told you they're going to bring the hustle and they're going to bring the muscle and they're going to start to do it at that point. And I'm just there as a guide or a coach. And this happens for me pretty quick, because I think most things in construction can be broke down to simple processes. I don't go into great big ordeal 2-hour things. We don't do that. No, I'm going to break a task down into simple steps, and I'm going to get a guy going as quickly as possible doing that process. So then comes the time for the evaluation. Once I feel like I've walked around these guys, and I've watched them do the unstructured activity, I've watched them do it on their own, I'm gonna basically be free to go either train somebody else, go work somewhere else myself, go write a quote, go do an estimate, go do whatever, manage another part of the job if it's a big job, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna evaluate what it is that they're doing. Now sometimes, if we're doing a very easy thing, the evaluation, you come back, it was an easy thing. There was not a lot of room for, it was an easy thing. I don't feel like I need to be there and watch the job or watch the guys work or watch the next step. It was easy, they got it. Now other times, the thing that I'm teaching them how to do or getting them to do is more difficult, and there might be a chance that they could mess up material or make a mistake on a building or cause me an error that would cost me money and cost the company to look bad. Well, then I'm gonna evaluate. I'm not gonna go very far. I'm gonna make real sure that they have got exactly down the process and the steps that I want them to do before I leave. And a lot of these stuff, guys, I don't try to, some guys, they just set the job up and they just leave, and then they come, I've seen them, they come back at the end of the day right at 5 o'clock and they gripe, oh, it's not what I wanted. I don't do that, and I don't recommend you do that either. If you think that there might be a chance that those guys are off the rails a little bit, pop in there. I mean, I just manage my jobs for success, and I help these guys win by being there for them, not by doing their job for them, but by being there to make sure I catch them. If they're gonna get ready to make a big mistake or do something wrong, I don't wanna be gone 10, 12 hours and show up right at the end of the day and then gripe because it wasn't the way I want. Remember, you're training, you're coaching. Not mean I'm gonna come back and fix their mistakes. I don't fix nobody's mistakes. If they make a mistake, they fix it. But I'm not just gonna let them go until I'm comfortable that they're gonna do those processes. And like I said, if it's an expensive thing or a thing that's prone to error, man, you're gonna manage that process tighter than you would something that's easier. So just to recap, we're talking a structured activity, you doing a thing, right? You show them what you want, you model the behavior, what it is you want them to do. Semi-structured, you do one together, right? Till you feel comfortable, you answer any questions, you give them tips, you give them tricks. An unstructured activity, you stand back, you see what they're gonna do, you make sure that they're gonna do it the way that you want them to do it and the way that it meets the spec or the code or the requirement for the material or the membrane manufacturer requirements, whatever it is that you're going for. And then you're gonna evaluate, you're gonna pop into that job fairly often, and you're gonna either come in and say, hey guys, nice job, but you did this wrong, this needs to be fixed, or you're gonna say, hey, hopefully you say, hey guys, man, you just knocked it out of the park, let me show you the next thing we're gonna move on to, and you keep on moving your crew forward. So those three things are the core of the way that I take construction-based knowledge, I break it down, and I do structured, semi-structured, unstructured, and evaluation. Those four things is like the key to the training process. All right, guys, before we wrap up this video, because I don't think it was a hard video to understand. I think you can easily see how this little simple process works. But I do want to stress that you put in the factor of time, because when you have an in-house crew and you're paying guys on your payroll by the hour, time is important. So when you train and when you show them tasks to do, you should already have a pretty good idea of how long or how many man hours you've budgeted for that activity, or how much production per day per man that you expect, or how many parts per hour that they should be running, or how many things per hour they should be doing. So have an idea so that you can set some reasonable goals for these guys, so they're just not, so some guys will just go, they can do the task, but they don't do enough of it, and other guys will try to go too fast and they burn themselves out. So having some realistic time averages on your job for your specific trade, just some general averages of, hey, really good guys in our trade or whatever it is do X amount, per hour, or can lay out 2,500 square foot of membrane per man per day welded up, whatever it is in your industry, make sure you have that so you can give that as guys train. They say, if you show me something new, I'm gonna say, well, how fast should I be doing these things? Like, what is the time that you expected? And that should all come back to how you sold the job. So you probably would want to start to think about helping your guys understand the budget of the job so that they don't just blow the budget going too slow or blow the quality getting too fast and too sloppy. So the time management part of this is important. So when we go, just a quick tip, when I'm training new guys that don't have a lot of experience, I'm trying to get that guy to manage his time from the time we start at 7 a.m. till lunch. I want to give them tasks that will keep that guy busy. I don't really want him switching a lot of gears between the time we start to lunch. I want that guy to manage himself from the whole AM till lunch. Then after lunch, I try to guide them and I say, guys, really by the time you quit today around 5, we work 10-hour days, you need to be about here. So that's what I tell them every day when we're doing our morning meetings or setting up a training. I give them an idea of where I think they should be, where I sold the job for them to be. If we're at day 3 and we've only got 1 day of production out, we've already burned 3 days of labor, well then we got a big problem, man. We need to have a little talk and figure out how we're gonna ramp this job up so that it just doesn't totally tank and we lose money on it, right? And then on the same thing, if we're ahead, you can say, guys, we're a little ahead, we need to slow down, or we can pick up some other items that we didn't necessarily plan on picking up. We can just do an outstanding job. You can slow down. There's all kinds of things. You know, if the guys are already doing an outstanding job and they're ahead, you could pay them a bonus when they're done. I mean, there's all kinds of ways, but help your guys as you give them the task. The timing of this thing is important. Getting these guys to understand not only how to do a thing, but how to do the task in the appropriate amount of time. And only you will know that by tracking averages and helping them understand how you sold the job. So guys, if you learned something, hit that like or subscribe button. We'll see you on the next one. We'll keep this training series up. Number 3 is coming up.